June 2024 community call. My name is Serena, and joining us today we have Thomas, Mark, Misha, and Kevin, who will be presenting all various topics today with regards to their community. If you have any questions for our speakers as we move through today's presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat or ask a questions tab. Without any further delay, Thomas, over to you.
Thank you, Serena. So, welcome to our community call for the Eclipse IDE. I am Thomas, the program manager for the Eclipse IDE. And so, let's dive right in. I think Mark will share the presentation right now.
Hopefully you can see that it's coming.
And it's working. Thank you, Mark. So I think, yeah, we can switch to the next slide, which is the agenda. So we have a great agenda today. I will start by quickly introducing myself, since I am relatively new to the Eclipse Foundation. I joined just a few months ago. Then Mark Goodchild from Renaissance, who serves as the chair of our Eclipse IDE working group, will take over and provide us with insight into our collective efforts and future plans. After that, in the second part, we'll have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Kevin Neubauer and Dr. Misha Strittmatter. I hope I pronounced it correctly, from Vector Informatics, and they will basically present us how they introduce the Eclipse IDE to newcomers in their company. I think it will be very interesting for both junior and more experienced profiles, and it will give us as a community some good material to reflect together on how to continuously improve the onboarding experience of newcomers, which is, as you know, one of our priority. And so now I will introduce myself by trying to explain why I joined the Eclipse Foundation as the IDE program manager. This is the next one. So basically, I won't tell you so much about my life, but I spent 25 years in software engineering and development, and primarily working in critical software systems across various industries, such as the one illustrated here on the screen: telecommunication, transportation, space, and energy. And basically, at every step of my career, I found the Eclipse IDE at the core of the solutions. And I had the privilege to work on different topics, but that's why I have this deep connection with Eclipse ecosystem, and it really fueled my passion for joining this community. And so, by the way, I hold great admiration for the technical people and the community that has crafted this suite of tools. And so for the people who are there, I'm also very aware that some of the critical products, the product important for our lives, are built and still depend on the IDE, even today. And at the end, that's why I'm now really committed to contribute to its sustainability through the working group. So beyond that, I really believe that, more generally speaking, we all need a truly powerful open source tool chain. So this brings us to our next slide, which introduces the journey of the Eclipse working group from its creation in 2021. I thought it was important to explain this context and to say where we are for today in this journey. And so, in 2021, from what I have been told, I wasn't there, but the mood was not so good at EclipseCon. And regarding the IDE, but then a remarkable realization occurred. The community decided to act by creating the Eclipse IDE. Then in 2022, we align, I say we align our vision and secured essential processes like the simultaneous release. And we also established the development development funding initiative, which allow us to address some of the critical issues through a plan and funded backlog with the support of Planning Council. In 2023, as Mark will elaborate later on, the strategy and vision took a substantial leap forward. And thanks to some on-site meetings, thanks to a hackathon, and finally, if we reach today, it marks the beginning of the realization of this vision, I would say. So just after me, we initiated the recruitment of a community mentor. It's a permanent consultant position, and which is still open, by the way. And it is currently partially managed by Hannes Wellman. So I think he's in the room. So thank you for being with us, Hannes. And I take this opportunity to mention that he will hold a bi-weekly kind of Ask Me Anything, a developers community call. I think the next one is scheduled on June 13. So please stay tuned and keep posted using the mailing list or the Matrix chat. Well, additionally, so I would say, and this is where we will start from now, this year marks the kickoff of the technical renovation, and Mark will detail this further. So I will give you the mic just after that. Just to mention something after going to you, just before going to you, Mark, on the next slide. I wanted to take this moment to remind you who are the 11 members of the IDE working group. They have been pivotal in bringing us to where we are today. And having said that, of course, I don't forget all the other community members, committers, PMCs. But so now it's my pleasure to introduce you, Mark, and over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so it falls to me to explain a little bit about the 2024 program plan, which is similar to the 2023 one. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll try and also detail some of the significant initiatives and developments that are happening in accordance with it. The Eclipse IDE working group is an active community of people. We meet regularly. We share the same goal, which is improving the sustainability and capabilities of the IDE. And I have to say, it is a very much an active community who all have the same vested interest. And I have to say, it's been personally quite a rewarding thing for me to be involved in. And there's the hook line at the bottom. All the working group and the members of the working group are people that are united in and committed to improving the Eclipse IDE and building a community, like bringing more people into it so it can thrive into the future. So that's what we're about. So this is the first slide of the actual program plan. So program plan slides have orange text at the top. But you can see what we're doing here. So sustainability, evolution, and adoption are the key words here. And we want to change, and this has been our mission for a while, to improve the IDE so that it's comparable, to commercial quality IDEs, but in this instance, driven by the community. And this is the underlying mission that we have, and the bottom line, which is growth and evolution. So we want to build that community back up, and get more and more and more people contributing to these projects. I'm going to skip across this one. So what have we done? So as Thomas told you, we have the development initiative process in place now, and that numerous things have been developed that have been funded by Eclipse IDE working group money at the end of the day. So this period, 2024, we're focusing more on the actual development resources rather than small development efforts. So we're looking to add resources to support the daily work of the IDE community. That's the difference this year. In addition to that, we've continued to have a person working on the sim. So Ed Merckx has been working on the sim rail. So this enables us to bring constant improvements, both to sustainability and efficiency for SimRail. Remains an important part of the project, a key part of the project. And on top of that, as well as these some development initiatives and resources that have been allocated to the project to help everybody. In addition to that, companies within the working group are also working on improvement areas to bring better user experience. So things like the modernized find and replace, you can see, you probably can't see that, but there's a very small picture of it there. The high DPI support and multi-monitor support, improve user interface response, so less hang-ups, improve welcome pages and onboarding, and a lighter feeling user interface, things like the tab titles. These things are all either in progress or delivered already. What else have we done? Well, we've had some face-to-face events when you're in a working group and you're trying to collaborate and cooperate with each other. It makes a big difference to meet people and face-to-face and build up a relationship so we can collaborate really effectively. We do this a few times a year, and as you can see, we were at Christmas time at the Vector offices, so thanks to them, and the ATA offices in February. So thank you to the ATA as well. Made us feel very welcome, and it's nice to visit. What do we do there? Well, it allows us to discuss the requirements and roadmaps about, as companies, what we need from the Eclipse IDE and how we make progress together. And it turns out, actually, all the companies have very, very similar requirements and a very, very similar vision for the Eclipse IDE moving forwards. And bigger items such as Initiative 31, and that this will come up more and more, but this is an initiative with the member companies of the working group are only investigating at the moment, so no formal project yet. But we're looking at a platform agnostic SWT to, rather than having 3 different versions for Windows, Linux and Mac, we're looking to generate one that can go cross-platform to reduce the support and maintenance into the future. So this is a really early stage. At the moment, it's not a project, it's just an investigation, but these are the kind of things which we're talking about sustainability and improvements into the future. We still have our website, so this continues to be improved. I think we'd like to improve it some more, but it's intended as the Eclipse IDE hub for all of our information and for the working group as well. So an entry point for people to find out about us. This is an overview of the strategy. I have subsequent slides on each of the elements of the program plan, so I'm going to skip a little bit over this to avoid duplication. So from an objectives point of view, I already mentioned the idea, not the idea, but the mission to deliver a commercial quality community-driven IDE. And as part of that, we are looking at the program manager, and funnily enough, you've already met him. So Thomas, welcome, and thank you for joining us as a program manager. I'll come on to that a bit more in a minute. The working group helped to address the issues which are identified by the Planning Council. So the working group should assist with the funding and drive these development efforts. As I mentioned, the Planning Council suggested resources to help the community actually this year, so we're looking at that. We have the quality, reliability of SimRail, keeping that sustainable, making sure it's healthy, and we have the release engineer, which I already mentioned. And then to build and generate momentum, we have the idea of a community manager or someone in the community to help our members with advice and technical guidance. So that was what we wanted to do. So what did we actually do? So as you know, so Thomas joined us as the program manager. So Thomas will be absolutely invaluable, I think. Already we're seeing a big impact to him joining us, so we're very thankful he's with us. All the development efforts and contracts and that side of things will be handled by Thomas. And most importantly, I think, from my point of view anyway, Thomas will be the one that will be promoting, engaging with potential member companies that might want to join the working group. So I'm really hopeful that this can generate a lot of interest. The SimRail release engineer I mentioned. So as I already mentioned Ed, so very much a valued member of the community, and what he does is absolutely invaluable to keep SimRail running and make it better. And then finally, as prioritized by the Planning Council, we have the community mentor consultant position, and Hans Wellman has joined this role. So part-time, but nevertheless, it's very invaluable, I think, for onboarding newcomers and getting people contributing to the community. So that's whether that's helping people get up and running or reviewing possible changes, or it's all good, I think. So the idea there is to build up the base of committers and contributors to the project. So hopefully we'll see for all these things, these are real tangible improvements which really could make a remarkable difference, I think. So let's see. Back to the program plan. So we're looking at growth, bringing in platinum or strategic members. A bit more about that in a second. And engaging with the user base to try and build the community. Those are the things which the program plans talk about. So we'll come on to what we've done. A couple of things about this. So the membership's increased. So SSI Schaefer has joined us, which is a very pleasing. So welcome to them. They've been with us a while now, but I thought it was a good chance to remind everybody that they've joined. In addition, we have the new membership level. I think this was discussed previously, but a reminder that there is a platinum membership level, which gives a company more influence over the Eclipse IDE direction, and obviously brings more funds to the group. So Vector and Renaissance have joined at this level, and it should allow us much more budget to bring in these new people into the such as the community position. And deliver on the strategy that we've put in this program plan. So I'm going to actually skip across this one. So a little bit about the marketing, and I'm going to pick out two things in particular there. So the likes of this webinar, which is a good thing to really promote the Eclipse IDE working group, but also showcasing the Eclipse IDE at various conferences and talking about it. And our group will really work hard to try and achieve these things. And already we've had representation at quite a lot of conferences in 2024, and we do intend to do more. And this is crucial, I think, to advertise and build momentum. So Thomas was recently at JCon. We've had presentations at Embedded World, JavaLand. There are some other ones coming up, some automotive ones. I can't remember exactly the ones. And we're also increasing cross-working group activity. So getting involved and discussing with members of the Software-Defined Vehicle Working Group and the Eclipse Cloud Tools Working Group. And that is a cross-collaboration that works both ways. July 10th, we're also having our next face-to-face event at the SAP office in Germany. So again, thank you to SAP for hosting that. The first day of that is going to be a community. The intent is it's a community meeting, so we'll try and share details of that closer to the time. And of course, the big event of the year, the Open OCX conference in October. A community event will be held at that, so please look out for that. There's also numerous topics which will be presented by Eclipse IDE working group member companies and members of the group. So that's a must attend, I think, for everybody. Finally, we do meet regularly. If we are very much open to people coming along. That timing, don't think is quite right. Actually, I think that's wrong now. I'll correct that. I think it's might be 2 p.m. actually. I think, but it takes place on a Tuesday every 2 weeks. If you have interest, please let me know. It's something which we can definitely accommodate and get you guys joining. That's all from me. Thanks very much. I hand back over to the next person. I'll stop sharing. Stop sharing. Oops. think I stopped sharing. Apologies.
So, hello everyone. My name is Kevin Neubauer, and I'm really happy to be invited to this Eclipse community call. And today, Misha and I will present you in a meta-reflective kind or manner how we train the Eclipse for Java at our company at Vector. So, I invite you to come with me, to a little journey on how why training matters. Let's imagine we have a new employee at our company and we call him Victor, and he has got some trouble with Eclipse. He has problems, something he does not understand. So what we have is a mentor. So this mentor can help him with any problems, can explain things to him, and in the end, everything is right and we have the solution. This is very crucial in the past. This mentorship played an important role in transferring the knowledge about Eclipse to our new employees. But this relies on the mentor's expertise and also on the mentor's availability. And we saw also after the mentoring program, which lasts about 6 months, further knowledge in Eclipse or in the tooling was primarily acquired sporadically by talking to colleagues or by self-study. And for this reason, we introduced Eclipse training at our company to provide comprehensive fundamentals so that new employees can handle the Eclipse IDE. So how do we train? Let's have a look at the conditions at first. Our target audience are new colleagues, but we also invite experienced devs so they can benefit on the one hand, but also contribute with their knowledge to the training. We have 2 sessions. One is about shortcuts, the other is about debugging, and each of them is about 3 to 4 hours. We have about 1 week offset between the 2 single sessions, and in general 6 attendees. Before the training, we write a welcome mail to our participants with instructions for the preparation, and also we open a chat so they can ask questions about the preparation. During the training, we introduce learning goals at first, and then we have the theoretical parts, and in the second session also practical exercises. And after the training, we use the offset between the 2 sessions. So the attendees can apply all the knowledge they learned in the first session. And when they come to the second session, we have a recap part at the beginning so they can tell us what they experienced. And we have we get an idea what they are using from our training. And in the end, we also have an online survey form. So we get feedback from our attendees. And now I hand over to the first part, Misha.
Thank you, and also thank you for having me. I will give you a brief overview of the first part of the training, which contains content about non-debugging Eclipse functionality, and the learning goal is for the participants to get an overview of Eclipse functions, and we categorize these functions into essential functions which a experienced developer uses many times a day. Useful functions which are useful to know but are not necessarily essential, and also special purpose functions which are not so commonly needed, but in special cases, they are very useful and can save you a lot of time. The essential functions and the special purpose functions we have marked with these ribbon and the tool icons. The learning goal, the emphasis there is to give the participants an overview, and because the expectation cannot be that they memorize everything, because there is a lot of stuff in this training, and so they can pick whichever functions they feel they are most useful to them and which they don't already know, and pick a few for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then try to incorporate them into your daily programming or development routines, and then after 2 weeks pick a few others. And a good candidates to learn are, if they are not already known, are these functions with the ribbon. So just a really quick glimpse at the agenda, just to give you an overview what we will look at today. Just some excerpts from these sections, and also to give you a feeling what we mean with essential, useful, and special functions. Yeah, I have grayed out some functions which I will only briefly mention, because I would rather focus on essential and advanced functions. One useful feature of Eclipse, or the Eclipse JDT, is the outline view, ignored by some because it's always shown, but it has some really useful functions. And the quick version is the quick outline, which is activated by Control O, and because it gives you a text filter to navigate quickly within one source code file or classifier. And if you hit Control O again, it shows you inherited members from superclasses, or it hides them again. And this is a very nice way to navigate the inheritance hierarchy. And also a feature that I like, because I'm a kind of visual guy, the breadcrumb view in the editor area can be activated using this little button. And of course, some colleagues say, I have this already in the title, but I think it's just a little nicer also having these visual clues. For navigation, many new colleagues don't know these functions with Alt left and right. So the arrow keys are meant, I mean the arrow keys here. You can navigate backward and again forward when you jump within a source code file, or between multiple files. Related to that is also the jump to the previous or next modification location. And also a really nice feature that I use often is the Control K. It's a kind of shorthand for the Control F, the search dialog, which you know from text editors in general. And you just select some code which interests you, or some string, and press Control K, and you jump to the next location. Then a rather unknown feature is the navigation between annotations. So what are annotations? For example, if you activate this little pop-out menu, there are a lot of different annotations shown, and by by default. There are already quite many selected. Usually I use this to navigate between errors in a file. Of course, if I write a class from scratch, or I'm in a rather small class there, then you can also activate warnings and linter issues. And but usually, if you are in a big or even a legacy class, you, for example, you caused some compiler problems, and you can then jump between these compiler errors. So Control L is useful to jump to a line, but there are also even more useful functions. For example, Control Q, this is a custom hotkey. Of course, Control Q is also the jump to the previous location, but I prefer to use the Control Alt back arrow key. And this custom hotkey, or you can choose any hotkey you want, you copy the qualified name of an arbitrary element, for example, a class or a method. And this is especially useful in combination with the Control-Shift-V key. There you navigate to this to the target which is contained in your clipboard, and this could be the fully qualified name of a class or a method, but could also be a simple name. And of course, simple names are not unique in the scope of your workspace, so it might take a little time to resolve that. And this is a function that I use very frequently, and I don't know that function that long, maybe a few years, and because it's so useful if you find fully qualified names or names from some classifiers within a stack trace in a log file, or the name of a test method from in a test job that failed. You can navigate to stuff which is in a review, or just message from a colleague, and so on. Then some examples from the selection section from the training. This is not specifically an IDE feature, but it's rather a text editor feature, but a feature that I think gives you a nice efficiency boost. If you navigate the cursor within the code with your arrow keys, you can just press Control in addition, and you step over syllables, which is quite faster than just pressing the arrow key and waiting for the cursor to arrive at the location you want to. And if you use Shift in addition, you can just select text, which is, yeah. And also with Control backspace or delete, you can delete the previous or next syllables. And another feature which I really like is the selection of scopes, or which you can do with Alt Shift up and down. And for example, if I place my cursor here and I press Alt Shift up, then at first just the name of the method is selected. Then the whole expression with the method call is selected, and then the lambda expression is selected, and so on. And this is, I think, this is quite useful if you have, if you want to copy paste something from a code that is rather deeply nested, or yeah, it also works over multiple lines, so you can select the body of a method or the body of a if what's called in English. you know what I mean. So some quick examples for refactorings. Really useful, really essential refactorings are the extract method and local variable refactorings, and the inverse one is the inline refactorings, inline refactoring. And for example, here if I select this code, this expression, and I do a extract local variable, I've created this line here, and all the occurrences are replaced by this local variable. And if I do an inline on this local variable, it reverts back to this version. And an example for a special purpose functionality, which is not that often needed, but if you need it, then you're happy to know it. Because if you have methods with many callers and you, for example, you want to reorder the parameters, or you have to remove one, then you just use this refactoring, and all the call sites are also refactored. Of course, if you remove parameters, you should also check the call sites, because you don't want to leave any dead code behind in the form of unused local variables. Then the last example is the local history, which is also not used very often, but imagine the following scenario. You've programmed for a while and you haven't committed to source control, and at some point you think to yourself, oh, this the state where I am just now, it's not good, it's broken. I want to revert to this state where I don't know, 20 minutes ago. But in the meantime, you've, for example, closed the editor or something else, or you have made a revert or switched to another revision, and this the undo is no longer available. And the local history is still there. And you can recall it from the context menu, from the compare with or replace with submenus. And there this pop-up pops up. And for example, here, this is the replace, but with compare with, you can also just rescue some of the lines if you don't want to replace the whole file. So that's my part, and now I pass back to Kevin.
Okay, thank you, Misha. So I want to give you some expressions about the second part of our training, which deals with the debugging. All right, why Eclipse debugging training matters? Most of the developers here will know that debugging costs a lot of working time. According to Devon H. Odell, it's about 35 to 50%. And what we want is to lower this effort by doing an efficient debugging. And what do we need to find a bug and eliminate it? Okay, on the one hand, we need a sharp weapon, which is our Eclipse debugger. And on the other hand, we need skilled devs, which can use this debugger, handle this debugger, and also apply a certain strategy. So let's have a look at the contents of our training. At first, we focus on strategies. So we look at possible entry points for debugging, or how to identify discrepancies between target and actual behavior. The second part deals with the Eclipse debugger itself. So we give an overview about the single parts how to configure the debugger, how to observe and manipulate, which means, for example, how to configure and use breakpoints or navigate through the code. Then we also consider the limitations of the JVM. Look at how we can debug on various threads, which is important. For example, if you are debugging operations and if you have an UI thread and you have an operation. So we show our thread structure and also have exercises in this part. And last but not least, we also show how to configure remote debugging sessions. In the third part, we do a tips and tricks session. So we focus on how to read an error log and use the stack trace console. We also have an exercise where you learn to use the tool Sleek to find memory leaks in the UI. And then we have some specific debugging for our tool Prevision. And then another content are the 5 exercises in this part. And now you see these eyes. We will see some example slides of the topics. Let's begin with the strategy. Here we see some possible ways to get good entry points for debugging. Also, like Misha, I don't want to mention the great ones, but I want to show you the more interesting things. So, for example, we deal a lot of UI elements, and Eclipse provides a function that you can search with Control plus H. And we have a lot of tooltips, dialog, titles, progress bars. So we can use, for example, these names, search for it, and then look after them in the message properties file. And if you click Control and hover over it with your mouse, you can directly navigate to the code section and then set your breakpoint there. You can also use the menu spy or the plugin spy to find your UI parts, which are also good entry points. Then you could use the history and especially the compare view to see the changes between two commits. And another thing that we use and teach a lot is the themes annotation. This is a function where you can see the time and the commit comment of the code changes of a certain class. If you activate it, you will see a highlight over the line numbers, and the darker the number is, the newer is the code change. And in our case, we find out who was responsible for this change, when it was done. And in our commit comments, we put a ticket number and why we did the change. So you can look after this ticket number in the ticket system, watch out why was this change done in the past, or contact the person, and then you find, for example, good entry points. Let's have a look at another example slide. We show the debug perspective in order to get a common wording. So everybody knows what we mean by stack trace, by editor, by the breakpoint view, etc. So we start with this little overview in our training. Then we have here an example slide for the debug configuration. 2 things are important here that I want to mention. If you want to start multiple instances in parallel, you have to set a workspace location or different workspace locations for different products. This is very important for us to debug. And we also show in this training where you can set special flags that are necessary for good debugging. And we mention the most important flags also, and have a list where the attendees can look after the training. Yeah, here we have a slide, an example slide about breakpoints. Setting breakpoints is grayed out. I want to focus today on the types of breakpoints. For example, we have different kinds of breakpoints, like the line breakpoint. It's a the most simple breakpoint we know. It pauses the code when we call the code line. And then we have another types. The method type we set here at the line of the declaration of a method. And then we pause at every call of this method. Then we have class breakpoints. We set it on the line of the declaration of a class. Then we pause the execution when this class is loaded. And we also have watch breakpoints, which we define on the line where a field is declared. And we have two options here. We can set it to pause when this variable, this field is accessed, or when its value changed. And another important type of breakpoints are exception breakpoints. You can only set them in the breakpoints view by adding a Java exception breakpoint. Then you can, for example, add a null pointer exception, and then you would have a breakpoint when or before a null pointer exception is thrown, which is also very important for debugging. Then I have here an example slide for how to configure breakpoints. You can configure breakpoints either by right-click on the breakpoint and click on breakpoint properties, or you can click in the breakpoint view on the breakpoint and click on breakpoint properties, and then it will open up a little dialog with the breakpoint settings. And today in this call, I will mention two important properties for us. The first one is the trigger breakpoint. You can set it by clicking here at trigger point. And this means that when you have a trigger point, this line of code must be executed first, and then all the other breakpoints are evaluated. So this is a condition we set. For example, if we have a certain place in our code we want to reach first before the other breakpoints are evaluated. Then also we have the conditional breakpoints. Conditional breakpoints we set here by tick or check the conditional attribute. So we can write here a condition, and only if this condition equals true, we will pause our execution. Special kind of conditional breakpoint is the trace point. You can do this by toggle trace point, or just write your system out print line or logging to this section here, and this enables you to also get prints from not Java files, for example class files or Eclipse files you normally cannot change or edit. Then we also show in our training what filtering means, but for today I will skip this. Another important thing is the stack trace console. You can find it here in Eclipse when you click on this little arrow, and then you can change it to the Java stack trace console. And if you have, for example, an error log, you can copy the stack trace and paste it here into the Java stack trace console. And then you get the highlighted links, so you can easily click on them and navigate to your code, which makes it much more faster than searching it and then go to the class file. Last but not least, I want to give a little overview how our exercises are made up. In this training, we have 5 exercises in total. Each exercise comes directly after the theoretical part, which means that we alternate between theory and practice, which allows us a holistic learning style, and we keep a higher focus or get a higher focus of the attendees. And each exercise normally has 10 minutes individual working time, followed by 10 to 20 minutes of collaborative work, which means one of the attendees shares the screen for example, if it's a hybrid meeting, and then everyone helps to find the solution for the exercise. And yeah, how does such an exercise look like? We have here an example. Normally we have a description of the exercise. Then we have step-by-step instructions, what you should do. And then we have concrete questions, which may lead right into the right directions to find a solution for the exercise. And all this offers an easy entry to familiarize with the debugger. So you, yeah, see, for example, here conditional breakpoint we saw it first. So you have to apply the knowledge you had in the theory at first directly in your exercise. And but the tasks become more challenging over time. So to keep yeah, the focus high. And yeah, this was the part about debugging. Now I hand over to Misha again.
Okay, I'll just quickly wrap this up by quickly talking about the questionnaire which we conduct after the training. It's divided into two parts. The first one is for the trainee for self-reflection, also using the learning goals. For example, yeah, did you learn how to which kind of breakpoints there are, for example. And the second part is for feedback for us and for the training. Of course, we are interested in constructive feedback and also if there are any functions which we could expand the training with. So to make a quick summary, we've created this training to teach new developers how to use Eclipse efficiently in their daily programming routine, but also a lot of times experienced developers also with the training, and they always say, yeah, cool, I've learned a new thing or two. And before this training existed, this knowledge was passed down from mentor to mentee, if at all, and later in random learning opportunities when you watch a colleague and he does something and you ask yourself, oh, what was that? Looks handy. And to recap the learning goals, part one is to give an overview of hidden or in general Eclipse functionality, and part two pertains to debugging, how to get an entry to debugging, using the debugger, using breakpoints, and manipulating the program state. And we've always received quite good feedback from our attendees. Sometimes, if we have students in our training and they have been using Eclipse for some years, for example, in the scope of their university, and they are quite happy because they don't know a lot of these rather hidden functions. So that was our presentation. I thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions.
Yes, no, thank you for that excellent presentation today. So yeah, this is the time, reminder for anybody in the audience that has any questions to put them in the Ask a Questions tab or in the chat. And I just wanted to take a moment right now to announce some big news, some really, really big news. The CFP is open for a flagship event, OCX, which is also previously known as EclipseCon. It has been elevated, and there is some co-located events that will be taking place. So we highly encourage everybody to go and submit some talks if they have any there, and then registrations should be quickly opening in the next couple of weeks. So I do have a couple of questions here that are in the chat that we popped over, and I'll just move it over onto the screen so that you can see it. But it is, I use Eclipse IDE for a very, very long time, about 20 years. I have to stop using it because Jakarta EE is not supported anymore. Because Jakarta EE is also an Eclipse project, I think it should be mandatory for the IDE to support Jakarta. Is there a chance that Eclipse IDE will support Jakarta in the near future? Who would love to answer that question if we can?
I suppose you might be looking at me to answer that question, but unfortunately, I don't know the answer. So, I mean, I think the best I can offer is for us to go and talk about that and see if we can come up with an answer. I don't know if anybody else on the call knows about that.
Okay, that's no problem. We can definitely bring that up as a topic in terms of our follow-ups. And
Yeah,
then we
I could
have
just, yeah, maybe Sarah, I could just add that I had some discussion on this question at JCon, of course, with Java developer community, and people were not telling me it was not working at all, but it was they were waiting for improvement on integration with. So if it's really broken, yeah, it's really, yeah, for sure, it's something we have to look at. Yeah. So
I'll take the
perfect.
action to bring it up on the next call.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. And we have Elo that has asked, where can I get the, I believe, PowerPoint presentation, the PPT, or is that something that we can share, Misha, Kevin?
I'm afraid not in the current its current state because it's an internal training. There is also some internal stuff which is not interesting for the public, and also without the what's called the training, the trainer which explains the slides, it wouldn't be that useful.
Sounds good. That's okay. We
Yeah.
don't need to. So, Ilo, not at this time. And then we do have a question from Alexander. It is Eclipse Milin was mentioned by Vector presenters. Any plans to contribute to Eclipse Milin or MyLine?
Contribute. There are no plans currently, at least that I know of. We use Mylin. I think I don't. I also don't know how it's pronounced. We also always say Mylin. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. No plans to contribute, but we like to use it because it's very, very useful.
Okay, perfect. And then Carlos has mentioned, let's say one wants to start contributing to Eclipse IDE. Where can one start? Is there a central point with documentations about the Eclipse architecture, how to start building it, different components, repositories, that kind of thing? I have invested a bit and it seems overwhelming. So that, Thomas, maybe you can answer that one?
Yeah, maybe I don't see Hannah still in the room, but it's exactly the landing page we are working on with Hannah as a top priority. So we will soon communicate on this landing page. We had this discussion if we should put it on GitLab, on GitHub, and so. But yeah, we will. A place will be built. Today you have the website, you have a GitLab, some information in GitLab, and you have all the project in the GitHub. So we will try to gather all the information in one central point, and this is yes. just I can tell you again, you will please keep posted on, and you will have some news on this very soon.
We can also say reiterate the matrix chat system, right? There's people there, that there's people around to support. If you do try and you get stuck, there are really friendly people to help unstuck you.
And you can ask for help, and you can talk with us through the matrix chat. I shared just before in the chat history the link to the new matrix chat with the new Eclipse IDE newcomer room. So feel free to ask anything in this room.
Yes, and this will all stay, the chats and the comments will all stay in here. So if ever you want to come back to it, you can watch it on replay, and you can also see the comments in there. So it looks like we don't have any other questions in the chat. Thank you again, everybody, for taking the time, and we appreciate it. And the speakers, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you, and have yourselves a wonderful day or evening. See you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.